My thought for today is about different types of loans that I'm able to do. And I'm not talking about this stuff because I want to say, oh, I can do this, you can't. A lot of people are able to do these loans. A lot of brokers, a lot of retail are able to do these types of loans. But the weird thing is that a lot of them don't know how. I was on social media talking to another loan officer about doing a loan out of state. And I said to him, you should do a DSCR. And immediately his response kind of showed me a little bit of lack of confidence, lack of understanding, and all all of that drew me to this part about support. Who is it that supports you? Who is it that stands next to you when you have these deals that are a little bit different, these transactions that are a little bit difficult? Maybe not difficult, but they're just different. And it just made me wonder, well, who do I have, that the support system that I have? And a lot of it comes from the banks that I have and the account executives that are at those banks. Because anytime I have a scenario that's a little weird, I bounce it off of 3 or 4 of them and maybe 5 of them. And someone says, hey, you should do it this way, or you should try it this way. And basically, all of that kind of comes from having a network, and your network might be the loan officer who sits next to you. Your network might be your broker, or it might be the account executives that work with you. When you're in the broker world, it can feel very much like you're alone. So I always put it out to other loan officers, hey, if you ever have a scenario, I would be very happy to jump on a call, jump on a Zoom, meet up for coffee and discuss some of those scenarios, because I feel like a lot of people leave loans on the table, and they leave them on the table just because of a lack of confidence, a lack of wanting to ask somebody else. So with that, I want to talk about 2 specific loans and 2 specific scenarios that I recently finished. The first one was a referral from US Bank. It was a buyer that, honestly, I tried different ways. I thought bank statement, I tried this, conventional, this, that. Nothing was going to work for this gentleman. The gentleman had come here about a year and a half ago from New Zealand. He'd come over here and they had started a business. The problem with his business is they initially started it with his daughter. Then this year, when they did the taxes, they did it with him. And because of the way their corporate structure is, I couldn't get a 2-year, well, I couldn't really get enough of a history to be able to do a non-QM loan that you would normally do. Because I thought, well, maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it that way. And you couldn't do a DSCR because it wasn't an investment property. He wanted to live in it. Luckily, one of the banks that we have, we used to have 2, now we have 1, was able to do a true stated income. I'm not going to pretend that the rate was great. I'm not going to pretend that it was a cheap loan, because it wasn't. But what it meant for this client, because he was grateful, he understood that the loan wasn't cheap. He understood that the rate was a little bit higher, but at least it got him a house. As we were going through the transaction, I learned that he had 24 family members that counted on this house. So when we were at the closing table, I mean, it was this sense of relief, the sense of joy that being able to do these things isn't about just me, but we're impacting people's lives. So it was a beautiful moment to be able to say, hey, through this creativity, through this access to different products and an understanding on how to get to the finish line, because the transaction was difficult. Client, a week before closing, opened up a new credit card. The client just did some things that really could have potentially messed up the transaction. So during the transaction, I mean, there were several things that happened. So his credit score was so new that it went down, and we were almost at the limit. There was rules that were a little bit different, but this one transaction is going to help me any other time I have to use this product. It's a one-off product, but at the same time, it's one that I have available to me. So anytime you guys have a question on these weird things, I don't care what company you're at, I don't care if you're on my page and you know me. Hopefully, you know that I'd be the first one to answer any of your questions. So give me a call for those hard, difficult, complicated deals. And I don't care if they're not mine. If you're going through it and it's some other loan officer's deal, that's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't helping. So that's one of the transactions. The second one just happened to me over the weekend. Literally, it was a little condo, 179,000 purchase price, one bed, one bath. On the MLS, it was listed as it could go FHA, it could go conventional. There wasn't a lot of information because there was no comps for the past 3 years. So there was nothing to look back and say, hey, this transaction or that. The only comps that were there had all been purchase cash, which made me wonder, is this a non-warrantable condo? As we're going through that, you know, I realized, okay, wow, this is not good. Then later we found out that about 60% of the properties were owned by investors, which technically made it non-warrantable. So right away I get on the phone. I find out, hey, I have a company that'll do as low as 5% down on a non-warrantable condo. So I did have a solution. We didn't go that route because my first instinct was, hey, ask the other brokers, because I'll be the first person to say it. I don't do a lot of condos. I don't have a lot of experience in condos. So the same way I can tell you that I'm real good at certain things, I'm also not really good at other things. So my first instinct was tell the realtor, be honest, and tell her, hey, I don't know if this is going to work out. So ask your other broker friends and your other retail friends, because she's an agent who's been in the business for a while. She was able to find a broker, weirdly enough, who had access to Rocket Mortgage. That Rocket Mortgage, it was on their approved list, whereas it wasn't on my approved list with my banks. So they were able to do it with a 3% down conventional loan. And the other reason I'm bringing it up is, one, is because I think every one of us here in this business should have a lot of friends that do other things, who know other things, who have other skill sets. And we should all be reaching out to each other and seeing how we could do business. There's enough business out here to help each other. So that's why I wanted to bring up these two loans. And if you ever need anything, just know that I'm here. Thank you.